MMIC. It's your good pal Kyle here in Costa Mesa, California, and we are going to talk about the MMIC list and why we're putting certain numbers in this list to set alerts for support, resistance, profit target, and stop sells. So this is a formula I went over with Kevin, and it's very simple. It has the least amount of indicators, and right now we're going to really bank on support and resistance to read these potential breakouts or the potential sell points. And I'm going to use these guys, GRNH, as our example account here. Green Grow Technologies, fun little company out of California that makes these very intricate greenhouses that span from 500 square feet to 5,000 square feet for people who want to grow their own cannabis. A very fun company to watch. I know I own some of them. It looks like Kevin does as well. I'm not sure if all of your sheets are up to date, but looks like a company worth watching. So step number one is we're going to get into TradingView to find these four numbers. This one, this one, this one, and this one. The easiest one that I know how to find is the profit target. Now, a way to think about profit target here, and I know it says sell 66%, and we'll talk about why we may or may not do that, but the easiest way to find this is when a company hits its 52-week high, the highest the stock has been in the last year. That's a really good point to start watching it, because that's where other people in the market starting to get interested in it, and they're going to start buying it like crazy. So we want to know this number ahead of time, and in TradingView, this is Green Grow, and I'll adjust the chart here momentarily, but this particular chart is one that Kevin made with these indicators. It has the swing, high-low, support and resistance. It has your EMA 200 and the basic things that we use. So we're going to get this into the most simplistic form as possible. Maybe in another video we'll start using ADX and ATR, average true range, and average directional index, once we all kind of get our heads around that. But let's find, just to start with here, the 52-week high. How do we do this? Down here in TradingView, we have 1 day, 5 day, yada, 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 and I want the 1 year. So I'm going to grab the 1 year, and here is the book of business for Green Grow in the last 52 weeks. The 52-week high is very easy. In this case, a spot. It's over here. It looks like it took place on 10/25, October 25th, 2016. So let me zoom in a little bit. I do this just by a quick scroll of the mouse, and it would appear that the 52-week high for Green Grow Technologies hit 15.9 cents. Now this is a really easy number to find. No other data to mine here. We just go find the highest blue set of dots. And by the way, in this particular chart, which you can get from Kevin or myself, inside the master account that we have with TradingView, blue is resistance, red is support, and the pink is the EMA 200. Three big numbers that we all want to know. So if I come over to the blue, 15.9, very simply, I click back on my MMIC list in Quip, 0.159. And by the way, I'm going to have, for this demonstration, I'll have to hop between the screens because I can only screen record one screen at a time. So 15.9 is where we want to start watching if we're going to take some profits. If we want to find the resistance, or where, another way to think of this, where if it busts through resistance, we're looking at a potential breakout. And resistance is trend-based. 52-week high is not really a trend per se, because it's just the year's worth of business. And trends happen in shorter amounts of time than 1 year. So what I'll do is I'll go back to Green Grow, and I will start to look at the last month. Now, one thing it does in TradingView when I grab the 1 month, you always want to look at up here, this number 30, it's given me every 30 minutes. I might want to go every 60 minutes. I don't know why TradingView does this, but like when you break it down to, like, for example, the 5 day, it puts it into every 5-minute intervals. I don't really care about 5-minute intervals. I care about trends. So let's go back to the 1 month, and I'm going to switch this from 30 to the hourly. Okay, and what I'm looking for is the most recent resistance. And all these charts are, of course, going to read left to right. So the most recent resistance, if I zoom in, is happening right here, and that says 10.5. And the interesting thing about green grow is that it seems to have hit this twice. And that for us is good news based on the rules of 3. They usually test the resistance once. They dip a little bit, and for some reason they test it again. So we have 1, dipped a little bit, but still in a you see all the greens, still in an uptrend. Hit it once, dipped, hit it twice, dipped, and this dip was even higher than the last dip, so this is a very good indicator that the next time it's going to hit 10.5, we might see a good breakout on green grow. Food for thought, maybe something to watch. Anyway, for the purpose of this video on how to read the support, resistance, and where to watch for breakouts, we're going to use 10.5 as the resistance or the alert point for another potential breakout on green grow. Once again, it is because it's the most recent, it's the furthest to the right, and this is the most recent data that we have. So if I were to go to, let's say, the 5-day, and once again, I'll switch this from 5 minutes to something that's a little more meaningful, to like an hour. Again, the most recent, and you can double check these through different time frames if if you need that sort of peace of mind, but it's always a good idea to double or triple check these. It doesn't change, it's the same, it's 10.5. I'm going to put that in this spot, which is the resistance breakout point, 0.105 or 10.5 cents. Okay, and then I'll talk in a moment about why these numbers relate to each other and why they kind of all make sense if you're reading them right. The third number we're going to need is a support. So now we're going to look at the red dots, and let's just run our system back here. Let's go to the 1 month, change it to an hour instead of 30 minutes, and let's find the most recent or the furthest to the right set of red dots. And it appears to be right here, 8.51, yeah, 8.51. We're going to use that. That's the most recent support that we have, and it hit it down here a couple of times. Boom, boom. It seems to not want to break that. It'll dip it and touch it, dip it and touch it, and then goes off again to the races on its little uptrend that we're currently in. So let me just get that number again. We have 8.51 cents, so put that in terms of dollars, 0.0851. Okay, and then we'll put in the final number, which is the stop sell, and this is the one that I think it has the most unclear definition, and we'll put a formula to this eventually, but for the time being, we're going to use a kind of a formula, or not even really a formula, but we're going to take the most recent support, 8.51, and then we're going to look at some of the more recent charts. So let's go back to the 1 month. On this, we know that the most recent, that's 1 month at 30. Want to change that to an hour. We're back at the 85185 number right there. And let's see what the 5-day, a really recent reading on this particular stock is. 5-day, and again, it automatically jumps us to 5 minutes. So just get in the habit of every time you change the duration, like 1 day or 5 day, you also change the frequency. So I'm going to go from 5 minutes to, let's say, 30 minutes because it's only a 5-day window. And we have down here 9.1. The 1 day gives us, and this is a 1 minute interval, so let's go to an hour. And you're going to start getting better at kind of reading these numbers here. We got 8.5. Let's go back to the 5-day at an hour. And this is kind of my process that I've been using. I'm continually double and triple checking these. We got 8.5. Okay. What's this down here? We have 6.49. If I'm going to get real curious, that's the last time it took a really big dip. It was way below the exponential moving average 200, that pink dotted line there. And so where I kind of want to fall is I'm looking at this and saying, okay, at 8.5, which is also kind of nearing where this, it hit it a couple times as the EMA was up on the uptrend. It hit it once, it hit it twice. I'm going to go into here and say, if we know the 8.5 was hit twice, and I'm not going to sell when it hits that, because that's merely the support. We know it likes to tease the support. So one rule of thumb might be a penny or 2 pennies or a penny and a half on a stock like this that's selling, you know, at 10 cents, 8 cents, 15 is the breakout, right? If it drops to, let's say, and this is just sort of an estimate, 0.075. So that's 1 penny below. However, when we're dealing in thousands of shares, and 1 penny off of 8 cents, 1/8, I believe, is 12.5%. That's a pretty big dip. So if it gets down to 7.5, that's going to be a fairly good indicator that I want to get rid of it. And if you look at these numbers in a line, it totally makes sense. If, let's say I didn't own any of Green Grow, and I know these numbers ahead of time, I know that when it touches support, that's a good time to buy, because we have 2 cases. We have 2 pieces of evidence here. It touches support, bounces back. Touches support, bounces back, and this time didn't even come down to support again, and then bounced up, and then we're in this nice little triple threat of the uptrend here. We have some data that might suggest it doesn't really like to break through that in the most recent trend that we're in. So to drop below that by a full penny means it's down 12.5%, and people are going to start dumping it, and that means the value of the stock goes down. It also makes sense that if I didn't have any Green Grow and I bought it at 8.5, and the last 2 pieces of resistance were about 2 pennies ahead of that, 2 cents ahead on 8 cents is 25%. If it grows, I know it doesn't seem like much, but if it grows 25%, you're doing really good. That's probably a nice hold spot, especially since we know that it has the potential to hit a 52-week high of 15.9 cents, which is almost double 8.5 cents. So, in recap, these support low, good buy point if you haven't bought it already, if it touches it. If it starts approaching 10.5 and it's teasing it, well, also we know probably maybe another good buy point to get in. And then if it is hanging around 15.9 cents, then you really start paying close attention to it, because we're approaching either a sell scenario where you made either 100% or 50% or 75% on your money, or we start watching it, because if it busts through the 15.9, if it busts through its 52-week high, a lot of people are going to be paying attention to that, and that's where we don't technically want to just dump all of it, get rid of it, and take profits, which is why, as Kevin related to me, we're not setting limit orders inside Fidelity or Active Trader Pro. Rather, we're going to watch these and see what they do. I know a handful of us got really excited when NTFU busted through its 52-week high, and then we got rid of it, and we sold it for like 100% profit or 300%. I sold it at 3x. The thing went to like 10x. And so with these stocks that are highly volatile, especially in a booming industry like cannabis, and with new legislation passed, it's not a good idea to set limit orders and leave money on the table when you feel like, oh God, I gotta sell. Rather, be diligent and watch it, and then use your best judgment. We all have Slack, of course, for communication. You can kind of get a feel for when other people are selling, because we're all going to be posting that kind of thing. So I hope that this, and to tie the last one together, if it dropped off the penny, then of course that's a good indicator sell. So I hope this video was useful for you guys on how to fill in the MMIC spreadsheet. And I do believe Kevin will be talking about alerts in another video and how to set them within TradingView. And we're all going to get emails forwarded to us, so all of us can, number one, be monitoring the same stocks and hopefully get on the same page on when are good buys, when are good sells. And just overall, guys, when to capitalize on how to make the most money in an industry that's about to see, I think the projected revenue was like $40 billion by 2020. So we're in at the right time. I think we're all getting our game dialed in, and I hope this little video has been helpful on why these numbers are meaningful and why we should all be watching them and being alerted on them. For the time being, that's my 2 cents, and we will be making more of these videos here shortly. So hope all is well in all of your worlds, and I'll talk to you soon. Peace.